because this is Apex Greatness. This is also part 2 of our NBA Christmas award show spectacular, as I slowly lose my mustache and beard because it is falling apart. Once again, I'm Russell Broderick. I believe I'm still sandwiched in the middle. Above us, special guest Johnny Arnett. Second time on the show. Very happy he's here. And beneath me is Dario Albuquerque. Off camera, the fairy pod mother, Lindsay Lehman.
Hello.
And
like Wanda or Cosmo?
What?
Huh?
You don't know who the Fairly are?
Fairly Odd Parents? Are you asking me if I want to be Wanda or Cosmo?
Yeah.
I want to be Cosmo.
We're going to edit this part out. You got to edit this part out, Russell, because my brother called. A different window came up, and now I can't see anything you're doing. And so it's like I saw like a little gap where we could like edit this out, and I'm like, I'm gonna take it because I can't see anything right now.
you're good.
How can I bring up this window again?
This is the type of shit, though. This is the type of shit, though, where I look at it, and I'm gonna look at it later, and I'll go, if it's funny enough, I might just leave it.
I fucking hate that shit. It's like I don't want my phone and my computer to be connected. It's like,
dude. Yeah.
Anyway,
so let's just get right into it. We already did explain this all in part 1. You saw that on Johnny's channel. If you didn't, feel free to head to Johnny's channel and check out part 1. We covered the best defensive game. We covered the best game by a non-All-Star or most surprising Christmas game ever, or performance. And we did the greatest overall performance in Christmas history on Johnny's channel in part 1. So now we're going to do part 2. The next award that is up is the Regift Award, which is the award for the best game, or not the best game, a game that we watched on Christmas, excuse me. The game that we saw on Christmas that we want to see as a redo. Like, we watched this game, it was something we were excited for, and it just didn't live up to expectations, and you want to see it as a redo.
it'll be interesting because it seems like based on what I picked, how I picked it, it seems like we almost have like a different definition of like how we made this pick.
Which is fun. So,
yeah, I'm interested to hear like what your guys' thought process are. This is a fun one.
Yeah, for sure. Lindsay, you go first.
Okay. So mine was the Magic vs. Rockets in 1995. It was the first finals matchup on Christmas Day. It was the first time they did that. And it ended up being a good game. I picked it because I wanted more from Shaq in that game. And I feel like we got more from Penny out of it. And that's why I picked it. I wanted it to be more of like a better battle of the bigs, I guess. Anyways. Yeah. And also, I would like to see it again just because Kenny sucked in that game. And it'd be great to see Kenny suck.
So part of it then for you is like a hypothetical of being like, if we could have seen a rematch of this game, we would have, because obviously now we can't. All those players are retired. They're all old now. You know, they're not playing in the big three, league and trying it again. It's like,
yeah.
So it's a hypothetical for you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was interested in that too. I was looking
because the rematch for like what I picked is still kind of in the realm of possibility. Like, we could still kind of get that. That's why I picked like a somewhat recent game. So anyway, but that's interesting. So
I was curious on why I was like, I'm surprised Johnny's going new school on us and
yeah,
like
but
that.
This is why
I still might have gone with that game. I honestly still might have gone with that game, but that did help narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah, but that's why it is okay for us to have slightly different definitions of what we wanted, because it's going to help each person's individual case for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing I noticed throughout like, researching all this stuff, is like you can tell the NBA like developed that structure like in the 2000s or something, like where they like what the Christmas games are now, like because when you look back, they would play like one or two games, and it wasn't like as big of a deal as it is like now, where it's just like this is the NBA's day kind of thing.
It would usually be either the Lakers or the Knicks on Christmas. It felt like when I was going back and looking at research, one of those two teams was almost always playing Christmas Day. And then you're right. They turned it into like now they do five games or 6 games on Christmas. I think
it's like all day long. There's games going. It's kind of funny though that factored into that could have. I mean, it's a small variable, but that could have factored into free agency back in the day. Then it's like you play for the Knicks, you play for the Lakers, you're working every Christmas. Compared to like every other team, you're going to be at home, or most other
might
teams.
Be off. Yeah, that's a good point. That might be a good point even today.
You don't want to, work
even today.
Get day off.
Do I want to play for a champion? I don't know. There is Christmas. That's mad funny.
I'll go next.
All the guys played really well in this game. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I went OKC versus the Knicks in 2013. So OKC had just came off of their finals appearance. And the New York Knicks had just came off I think they were second in the East that year. And so they were supposed to be two really good teams. And it's the Melo KD matchup. At this time, when Melo and KD faced each other, it was like a showdown. But Carmelo Anthony had a sprained ankle going into this game and didn't play. So I feel like it would have been nice to have Melo had played because it was an easy blowout, and it would have been just nice. Like this year, the Knicks weren't as good, but like the anticipation and momentum going into this game was something. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was that Melo KD matchup that everybody wanted to see.
Damn, Amari Stoudemire must have been coming off some sort of injury. It was during that era of New York because he's coming off the bench giving you 22. Yeah. Fucking not bad. Not terrible. J.R. Smith pacing your starting 5 in scoring. Nobody else scored above 10. That's a great point. I think this game probably would have been much more entertaining had Melo played.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because at the time, I remember I had a good friend that was a huge Melo fan, and he would always talk about how he would light up KD and all this other stuff. So like that was like a big thing because there weren't that many great small forwards, and it was just like KD, Bron, and Melo. So it was like whenever they faced each other, it was a big deal.
What's interesting too is like people like the people in the league who the higher ups who are determining the schedule, like they have to anticipate this stuff months in advance, and look at what are the most exciting matchups going to be. And so it's kind of funny to look at ones where it's like, this didn't go how they thought because this turned out to be a stinker, but this would have, like you said, that would have been a great matchup, great game, and that would have been fun.
Yeah, I definitely like that. Johnny, go ahead.
I went with something more recent, and I would love to see it again. Is Lakers and Warriors. Now, who are the Lakers playing on Christmas this year? Because I don't think that's the matchup.
The Nets.
The Nets. That's right. That's
I think it's the 2018. I think
Christmas 2018, right?
Yeah.
I would rather have it be Warriors Lakers. I would be much more interested in that. Now, Lakers are kind of sucking this year anyway. Yeah. We're having all kinds of issues. But if we could hit our stride a little bit, it would be fun to kind of have a measuring stick game, see the Warriors and Lakers. Last time this game was in Golden State. I would love to see it in Los Angeles. It's just the best place to have a Christmas Day game. That or Madison Square Garden. And then this game, you would think would have been a great matchup. The Lakers were playing well. It was like before – this was the game LeBron is at his injury, his groin injury. And so, he's doing – and we were like in the fourth or third seed at this point. Like we were surprising teams like with a bunch of young guys and LeBron. Yeah. Now, somehow we freaking blew out Golden State in this game, even though they were the far superior team. And so there was just several ways where this game was like – kind of a disappointment, because it was like, even as a Lakers fan, we blew him out, but LeBron got injured, so it sucks that LeBron didn't get to finish the game. But for Golden State, you don't feel like they gave their best shot. Like they kind of got destroyed. So I'd love to see like, Clay might be back at that point. So if we had a Christmas Day game where it's like the Warriors, as they're clicking the way they are with all the star power of the Lakers, and have healthy teams go at each other again, like I just felt like this one was kind of a letdown.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think just a couple weeks before that was that Draymond and KD situation. So I think that might have been kind of why the Warriors weren't at their.
That's right. That's true. Mm-hmm.
And I was also gonna ask. So you don't feel like the Lakers versus Nets is one of those like Lakers could like kind of see where they're at kind of game? Because I know you said the
measuring stick. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think it's like I like seeing the Christmas Day games as like kind of a precursor of like what we could see later on. Right now, the Lakers would have to get all the way to the finals if they hope to see Brooklyn again, which they might not. I mean, Brooklyn might not even make the finals. And but Golden State and Los Angeles, they could totally meet up, in the playoffs. And just with it being an interconference battle, I like that. I like, conference battles, teams that are familiar with each other. Even at this point, like LeBron and Steph Curry, they have like a familiarity. It's like there's a rivalry even between them to a certain extent. So I like that interconference type battling. So that's part of it. It's like, at the end of the day, like if Brooklyn and Lakers played, I think it's just going to be another game in the regular season, compared to like Lakers and Warriors. They can meet up, and they can learn stuff about each other at this point. So,
yeah, I feel you for sure. I was thinking like, it's always like anytime there's a regular season game, there's always potential for it to go the way you were talking about, where it just because it's a regular season game, whatever. But that's why, back to what we were talking about in part one, Christmas is a big deal. Like to a lot of guys, playing on Christmas is a big deal, especially now that it's been marketed over the last 20 years. Like the guys that play today, like they're ready to go on Christmas for the most, except for apparently Steph Curry. About it.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason I shouldn't have picked this game. I'm like, is this going to be the Lakers blowing them out again, and Steph's not going to show up?
Before you go, how does Steph do in this game?
Did he even play? He played, right?
I don't even remember this game, dude. It was such a weird, like I remember we were destroying them. I remembered it was a disappointment. I remember LeBron was out, but yeah, 5 of 17. What the heck, dude? He just wants to get to Christmas presents and hot cocoa. He doesn't care about basketball on December 25th. I don't get this guy.
He is very worried about Aisha making sure that he's home for
that
is absolutely it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I just remember everything I remember about this game was just it being weird, it being a disappointment, it not living up to expectation, and it felt like it meant nothing. It's like we know the Lakers are not going to blow out the Warriors on most nights, like especially when LeBron gets hurt.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'd love to see it again.
Yeah, so I picked this particular game for similar reasons. There wasn't an injury going on here, but it's Celtics Lakers from 2008. This is like peak that rivalry for this era. There were 3 points in history where the Celtics and Lakers were like on fire with the rivalry: 60s, the 80s, and the end of the 2000s. Right here, and they're playing on Christmas, and their records going into this game are completely ridiculous, right? Celtics 27-3. They're coming off they're doing a 19-game win streak at this point. Lakers, not to be outdone, 24-5. Very close. 8 losses between the two of them, and like over, I think it's 61-8 over the span between the two teams. And it's 83-92. It just was anticlimactic. I remember it being anticlimactic. The big 3 showed up. Not Ray Allen shot inefficiently. Pierce did okay. KG played okay. Nobody was hurt, but I wanted it to be closer. I remembered it as like feeling when I was watching it because I was so excited. This was one of my first years watching basketball, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go!" Because this is right off the
championship.
I believe this is right off the Celtics championship, right? 08,
yeah.
08, 09. So this is right off their championship. This is before the KG injury.
Yeah.
And I wish
the Lakers were also just coming off of a win streak as well.
Yeah.
So it was definitely one of those two freaking titans
extremely hyped up.
Other, yeah.
And I
remember being very happy during this game.
Yeah, for sure. Because Kobe's going off. And the other reason when I look back at the stats of this game, I looked at it and I remember, oh yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't like Pau Gasol, that bastard. That fucking bastard just giving us dick the whole fucking time. Pisses me off. He's awful. But I wish this game was a little bit closer. And even if you want to say this game was good, for nostalgia reasons for me, it's absolutely a game I'd want to see done over. For sure. 100%.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, everybody's there and everybody's healthy. It just didn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, for me, I feel like is a little bit expected because I remember a lot of those games in that rivalry just being freaking ugly.
Yeah.
Like, they're ugly. They weren't always fun to watch because, I mean, Boston knew how to defend Kobe and they turned into very physical games. And it's like everybody talks about Kobe shooting 6 for 24 in that 2010 NBA Finals in Game 7. I'm like, have you looked at the stats? Like, I remember that game. Everyone shot like garbage.
It was
everyone.
Game 7.
Because the refs were like, we're putting away our whistles and we're going to let you guys duke it out. Like, that was the most like 80s feeling game in the 2000s that we've like had, at least like the 2010s on. It's like we've had nothing close to that.
I was about to say, I talked about this during Kobe's Legacy breakdown on our channel. And this is that 2010 series is the last series where it is like no small ball. And it is like two traditional rosters and roster constructions going against each other. And that's typically what environment that created, an ugly, sloppy game style.
Yeah, the game changed so much after that finals. That was kind of the turning point. Yeah. What's interesting here about your game is the game itself was disappointing, that Christmas game.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of enjoyed it because I'm like, oh, Kobe shot 56% against the Celtics and we won. Wow, today's a good day. You know, that's not very often that happens. But it was a disappointment kind of all around because, you know, obviously the Lakers won the championship. We went on to have a 67-15 record. It was a good year for us. But it felt bittersweet because we whooped up on the Magic. And the Cavs didn't get there, but the Celtics were the team that were supposed to get there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, dude, this is going to be another rematch with them, and I don't know if we're good enough to beat them yet. It wasn't until we got Ron Artest, and I'm like, we're good enough to beat the Celtics. So even though this game's a disappointment, at least they were all there healthy. But like once Garnett went down, it was like this whole year with the Celtics was kind of a disappointment.
So this was the year that I like really, like I would watch basketball, but I was really into it this year, and I was like rooting for the Lakers like crazy. So going into the playoffs, I was just on something. We're murdering everybody. So it's funny to look at it, like to see from your perspective as a fan who have been watching like probably many years and thinking, oh, I don't know if we can beat. Because in my mind, anyone we saw, Kobe was destroying. So and then mind you, I had watched basketball for 2 straight years, pretty much just watching Kobe win. Like that was like my first year really, really watching deeply and like watching all the Laker games. And I had not really seen Kobe lose. I hadn't seen Kobe lose a series until 2011. And then I cried.
Yeah.
Dirk made me cry.
I had seen Kobe lose a few times, but I cried anyway. Yeah, it was rough. But damn it, what was I going to say? I totally lost it.
It happens to the best of us.
Oh, my bad. I probably threw you off on my.
No, Lindsay, it's all good.
On that note, Lindsay, go first. Who are you picking?
Let's go with. What did you say first?
Because you literally complained about being last on part 1.
So he went the complete opposite. He overcompensated.
Let's go with Celtics Lakers in 2008.
You guys go. I'll go last.
I'm definitely not picking Celtics Lakers. I felt like it was an all right game. I'm probably biased as a Lakers fan. I enjoyed it, and I'm used to ugly games from them.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me look at the other games again.
If you need time,
you go ahead. Go ahead. Give me a second.
So like him, I'm okay with that Lakers situation. I'm like a
fellow Laker fan.
56.5. I'm good. I'm going with the Magic Rockets. I like the idea of having the two big men go at it again. Shaq historically hadn't done the greatest against Hakeem anyways, but it would have been nice to have more of a dominant game there. So yeah, go with that.
I was going to pick your game. I know I said I was going to go last, but I was going to pick Dario's game. I like the idea of the OKC Knicks, KD, Melo shootout in their prime. I would have loved to see Melo get dicked down by KD. Would have been enjoyable.
Wow. Okay, pause. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the '95 game as well, just because any chance to get more, Hakeem and Shaq, and just watch them go at it more. It's like you don't even need all the storylines and everything. Just that matchup. It's like to see more of that. Like realistically, how much would I give to see that again one more time in their primes? Yeah. Like, or at least Shaq, athletic, Hakeem is prime. Like, dude, yeah, I'd love that.
I'm shocked you picked the Knicks game, Russell. I would have immediately when I said my pick, I was like, I'm pretty sure Russell's definitely not picking this because it's the Knicks, and I'm shocked that you didn't pick the Magic Rockets.
No,
that's your guy, Hakeem.
I do, and I like the Shaq Hakeem rivalry a lot. When we do Shaq's legacy breakdown that's coming up in 2022, I can't. I'm the most interesting part of Shaq's career that I know the least about off the top of my head is that 90s era. And I'm really looking forward to deep diving into that and seeing it from Shaq's perspective and looking at specifically Hakeem Olajuwon, because Shaq talks about how Hakeem Olajuwon was the only center to ever punk him, quote unquote, in his career as just like a nice move, young fella. And then Shaq he comes back with the around jump shot. Has me down.
But does that mean I've won 2 categories so far?
Yeah. Do you want a cookie?
Yes, I do. Actually, I want a special Christmas cookie.
Santa, you gotta give it her.
Santa, hook her up.
I'll fucking say I guess I gotta deliver, right? better call Rudolph. Get him on
the thing about that Shaq and Hakeem, like, it's kind of a not really fair comparison and point in like a rivalry just because Shaq was just younger. That wasn't the best Shaq. I would give anything to see 94 Hakeem versus 2000 Shaq. Like, if we could get that kind of a rematch where it's like Shaq's in form and Hakeem's in form. But it was like the same thing with kind of like there's a weird little bit of overlap with like Kobe and LeBron, but like they're not really in their prime at the same time. That's kind of how it was with like Shaq and Hakeem too.
That's what I was about. I'm really looking forward. This is another thing because you're right. I agree that 2000 Shaq is probably his best year. But the one question that I personally don't know that I want to find out is how close was he to that point in Orlando? And what do you think? I might as well ask you. How close do you think he was to that point in Orlando from a percentage standpoint, let's say?
I mean, from a statistical standpoint, from how good he was on the court, it's actually pretty close.
Yeah.
But I think the approach is what changes quite a bit.
Right.
Because Shaq was just so much bigger in LA that it's like, that like could Hakeem handle him as well as he did when Shaq is just able to just muscle him more than he was before? Because even though Shaq was huge, he was always huge throughout his entire life. But once you start getting later into your 20s and that sort of thing, that's when you start putting on your man body, your man muscle, And Shaq was, not only did he put on a bunch of weight in general, but he was a tank, and he was much harder, much stronger, all that sort of thing in 2000. So I like to think that Hakeem would still be a pest and be able to handle it somewhat, but there's going to be certain plays where Shaq's just going to go boom, bam, and he ain't going to do jack about it. Like Shaq's going to have those.
There's a select. Maybe Will would be the only person who could stand in front of Shaq at that period.
Yeah, and I think it's like later in his career, Will like when he's like more toned up and pretty brolic, like,
and he's thick himself.
Yeah, like I remember when we did Kobe's legacy breakdown. No, not Kobe. Sorry, Magic's, and we had Kareem go against Shaq, and we argued who we thought would do better against each other. I thought Shaq would ragdoll Kareem, and I think it would be very similar to Hakeem because it's just he's giving you like 300, probably 350 pounds of just pure muscle and some fat, and just freaking just going right through the guy. Like, and and at the time, like, the rules are allowing him to freaking elbow you and just
a little bit. I mean, a guy like Vlade knew how to D up on Shaq a little bit because he'd sell it. I mean, that was kind of one of the flopping wasn't as big back in the day. It wasn't as common, but some guys still did it, and one of them was Vlade Divac. And when he was with the Kings, and Shaq would try to bully him, I mean, he was smart with his defense with Shaq. I mean, sometimes he'd flop or he'd give it a little bit, and now Shaq gets called with an offensive foul. And when he's 350 pounds, I mean, you don't have to sell it all that much. The dude just looks like a monster beating dudes up. So Hakeem could do that a little bit. And then there's other things he could do. When Shaq's trying to go boom, boom, you just back up, pull the chair on him, and he loses his footing, travel. Like, that happened a lot too. So it would be interesting because I feel like Hakeem has the intelligence and the defensive IQ that he would be best suited to defend him in multiple ways.
True. It would be like a closer to modern day Bill Russell versus Will Chamberlain in that aspect.
Yeah.
Hakeem's he is undersized, similar to Bill Russell for the position at the time, but because Hakeem was also like people said he should have played power forward because of his size. What?
Hakeem's still like 6'11", 7 foot. He's like, but to Shaq, he's undersized.
But people were also talking about Hakeem. Like I've read stuff where they thought he should have played power forward. I don't agree, but because of his size, there were situations where, like when he played with Ralph Sampson, like. He was the obvious power forward, and people thought he should have stayed at that spot because of it was the land of the Giants back then. Like there was a lot.
My all-time starting five. He's my power forward. People have asked me that on my channel. What's my all-time starting five? And I always move Hakeem to the power forward.
Sure,
start him there.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by they're undersized for their position, but they have the best defense imaginable against this Goliath, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know we're getting super off topic, but I have to ask now. You have Hakeem over Tim Duncan?
Yes.
Nice.
That's
I'm with it.
That has to be a discussion at some point.
At some point.
Yeah,
like at some point, I will sit you down.
He's ahead of him for that spot. He's ahead of him on my all-time list. Yeah. I mean, God. Hakeem Olajuwon with Greg Popovich and all the talent that he played with throughout. Oh my gosh, Hakeem would get so many rings.
I don't have the balls to do that, so I'm glad you do because I love Hakeem with all my heart.
You're probably going straight off skills in your mind then, not everything together.
What does Tim Duncan do better than Hakeem Olajuwon?
You can argue.
He wins better. He wins better.
Yeah, he's also better at being at being on a great franchise, having an all-time great coach, and having tons of great support around him.
He was the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, they were winning with him, but I mean, look at who he had. I mean, Manu Ginobili was always there coming off the bench. Tony Parker, even a lot of guys like Bruce Bowen were solid dudes. Like Hakeem Olajuwon, even the 2 years he won the championship, he's the only player in NBA history to win back-to-back titles as the only All-Star on his team. He was the only All-Star both seasons. Clyde Drexler was there for the second year. You could argue that he was All-Star caliber, but he wasn't. And he's the only one to ever do that. In the early 90s, they weren't there. He made it to the NBA Finals in 86 with Ralph Sampson. They had no business competing against Boston. And because Ralph Sampson's back sucks, they weren't able to keep going to the championship. But like, look at Shaq. Shaq's got 4 rings. And look at what Kobe did in the finals when Shaq fouled out, hitting all those jumpers against, Indiana and that sort of thing. Or Dwayne Wade just going off in the fun. Like, can you imagine if Hakeem had that? Like, he never had anyone like that. You know,
he requested to be traded because of shit like that.
My only thing is Tim Duncan. In terms of, you can argue Tim Duncan was maybe not peak wise was better defensively, but he was better defensively for that longer period of time. Tim Duncan, most all defensive first teams in NBA history for a center or whatever, or for a power forward, big man. Hakeem played a good amount of years and didn't do that. Tim Duncan led
you know
his
why?
team.
You know why?
Time out. Tim Duncan led his team to 5 NBA championships, and he was the clear-cut leader in a majority of those. At least 4 of them.
Yeah, at least 4.
You got he has 3 MVPs in a pretty crazy era.
Mm-hmm.
So you can argue the only reason Hakeem has his 2 MVPs is because Jordan wasn't there. Or does Hakeem only have 1?
He has 1. That's the defensive player of the year MVP.
Oh, okay. So you could argue it's only because Jordan wasn't there. So I don't know, man. Like Hakeem only saw success when the GOAT left.
Yeah, but a lot of people wouldn't see success if Jordan was around them. I mean, that's true to literally anyone ever. The same thing's true of Duncan. You think he's having 5 rings if Jordan's like, hello, like in his path? No. And so why are you going to use that against Hakeem if you can't use it against Duncan? You know.
Also, somebody had to win that. Somebody had to win during that period, and he won both of them.
Yeah,
he won both of them.
But for me, it's like it's a support thing. But I want to get to is it's a little tricky when you start comparing defensive accolades, because who was Duncan going up against defensively for those awards, for those all defense teams and all that sort of thing? Not what Hakeem Olajuwon was going up with against every season. Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Shaquille O'Neal, Dikembe Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning. Like these are like that was the thing of that era, was just big men who don't let you get easy layups. Like they're just swatting everything away from the rim. And so, I mean, that's what he had to compete with. So I personally think it's impressive that he was able to win as much defensively as he did. And of the players who have multiple Defensive Player of the Year awards, he easily has the highest scoring average of all time. So you could argue in a sense that he's the greatest two-way player of all time, because some players like Duncan's not just going to score like 40, 50 points on you. You know, he'll give you like 20, 25, maybe 30. But like Hakeem might just explode on you offensively.
Yeah. I do think the 90s center era and the early 2000s power forward era are comparable, though.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say that.
You have Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Chris Webber. That's all in the West, too.
Real quick. Chris Webber was short-lived. Okay,
sure.
that was short-lived in the early 2000s. Even then, he wasn't a great defensive player.
Yeah.
Not like those other guys we're talking about.
Yeah.
And Dirk Nowitzki was not a good defensive player unless Christmas Day. He's all-time great. But so that was my point. I get it's comparable from an overall talent standpoint comparing the positions, but I'm talking about if you're going to make first or second team all defense and David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Dikembe Mutombo, Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo. Only 2 of those guys can make it. So some of those guys are going to be like, he didn't even make all defense team that year. It's like, yeah, I mean, because these 2 guys took the spots. It's like,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's my point.
But from my perspective, if I'm saying I have to guard these guys. These guys, like Dirk Nowitzki, is a top at a point in time. He was a top 5 scorer of all time in terms of total points. So like he had to go against that at least 3 to 4 times a year. He had to go against he still had to like try to guard Shaq too. Like even though that's not his position, he had to try to guard Shaq for four of those years. Well, no more than that. They went against each other like 6-7 years. I don't know, man. It's definitely. I don't think I when I'm ranking, I have Tim Duncan over Hakeem. It's not that far over. It's probably like a couple spots, but it's.
I just feel like from the eye test and from a statistical standpoint, in every sense, like in every other sense other than winning, it's clear who the better basketball player is. The only reason it's a conversation is because Tim Duncan has the hardware, because he's won more. But
That's
the
what's
thing
so hard
is,
about ranking.
I believe that reason is because he had the better structure to win more, you know? And so
I feel that. If we were going straight off talent and like, or eye test or anything like that, I wouldn't even argue that. I would think that would be very comparable. And I just think when you have to take in the talent, because they're all of these guys in the top 10, 15, you could argue like it's just straight up nitpicking. Like all of these guys are great, and it's not that far. They're not that far away from each other. But that's when you got to take into consideration their whole career, and then saying, okay, what happened? How did you impact the game? You can argue Tim Duncan impacted the game more in the sense because he chose. Tim Duncan was probably the most selfless superstar of all time. He could have kept on giving you his 20 and 10, 25 and 10, but he chose to not do that. Support his team more defensively, and then let his role players do a little bit more.
Let's revisit this. Like, I'm gonna let you have the last word on that, but we got to revisit that conversation sometime because I have so much more to say. But there's a Christmas theme. So
yeah, I know.
we'll keep it moving.
I was trying not to like. But, that's
fuck that. You knew it. You knew as soon as you said we're going really off topic, but I'm fine.
Well, a little bit, but I got a limited amount of time. It's like if we're gonna finish these awards, we gotta keep going. So
for sure. My bad.
No,
My bad.
No, you're good.
We got two more things to do. We got to do the All NBA teams, and we got to do this last award. The final award is for the best Christmas present of a game on Christmas Day. So basically the best Christmas Day game of all time. Amongst the four of us, we all picked one, as we've done for each. And I am going to go first. So I have the Bulls versus the Knicks in 1986. This was one of the first couple matchups between Jordan and Ewing, right? Jordan was averaging 45 points a game in the two games. I think he had a 50 spot and a 40 spot in the last games before this Christmas matchup. And he had, I'm pretty sure he won both those games too. But coming into MSG, the New York Times, I was reading the New York Times from back in the 80s, and basically everyone was like, we're looking forward to see Jordan absolutely be spectacular once again against the Knicks. We can't wait to see it. It was all just like not focusing on the Knicks at all, and more focusing on Jordan because he was just so freaking spectacular at the time. And it comes down to the wire, basically. It's close the whole game. And Ewing has 28 points, 17 rebounds. And Jordan has 30 points and 6 steals. And it comes down to a baby hook shot by Patrick Ewing to end the game. And it was dramatic pretty much the whole way through. Physical type game, 85 to 86 is the final. And I don't know. I was thoroughly entertained watching this at home.
It's a great game. Yeah.
I was thoroughly entertained. And there,
I've seen this.
I finally found it after I was done talking about it. Finally found the fucking game. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Both these teams are not doing good from a win perspective. But Jordan, very inefficient, because I'm sure he was attacking the paint, and Ewing just wasn't fucking having it. But 30 points, 5 assists, 6 steals, 2 blocks for Jordan. So he delivered on what the New York Times wanted somewhat. But then Ewing, 28-17, like I said, 2 blocks.
Even from a historical standpoint, like you said, it's just it was almost the beginning of that rivalry, that went on for so long. It's easy to just see like the Bulls just dominated, and kind of remember it from that lens of history. But like there was times where the Knicks believed they could win. New York Knicks believed it is our time. It is our time to break through and beat Jordan. And even went to a famous Game 7. This was a legit rivalry. And so the way this kind of sets that up, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that at the time, but, looking back on it makes this game even cooler.
This is also Jordan's only Christmas loss. This is the only Christmas loss he's had is against Ewing in this thriller.
He's 5-1, I think. I think he's 5-1.
Yeah, he's 5-1. Thanks to Scottie Pippen.
What else, Scottie?
And his undefeated, unstoppable Christmas wrath. Yeah, fucking so fire. All right, who's next?
I got you. I'll do it. So I have another Bulls Knicks Christmas. And it's 1994. This is without Michael Jordan though.
Yeah.
And this is that game this is that Scottie Pippen great game where he just completely dominated.
We talked about it in part 1.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where I'm sure going into the season it was because when they scheduled it, they probably assumed Michael Jordan was going to be playing for the Bulls at the time. Before him retiring and stuff beforehand. And,
no, wait. This is 90.
This is the second year of his retirement, so probably not.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is my bad. So this is coming off of.
This is coming off of that playoff series.
My favorite series we talked about in.
Yeah. Which to me, that's what really makes it good.
Yeah. So this is coming off the playoff series. My bad. And Scottie Pippen completely dominates, and it's a close game, right, throughout the whole.
Went to overtime. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you could put the highlight up, but it comes down to the final shot, and that's where Pippen just goes lockdown mode, and probably a really redeeming thing. Probably felt good for Pippen to get that win that day, after how things ended between the Bulls and Knicks and all the drama with that and everything. I bet he felt great about that.
If he didn't have motivation coming into this game, then I don't know if then he just doesn't have motivation.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was a laundry list of things that got him fired up for sure. Bulls and Knicks also right at 500 too for this particular game. Interesting. I always know the records. I'm always interested in that. Who's next?
I can go. This one's easy for me. That 2004 Lakers and Heat. Lakers you knew weren't going to be competing, just because like Kobe's running with like freaking Chucky Atkins and Chris Mim and a bunch of scrubs, but it's Shaq and Kobe. They just split that summer, and things are so icy. I mean, I'm telling you, this was promoted and this was hyped up, and the tension. It felt like a boxing match, and these two dudes hate each other, and it did not disappoint at all. From just a general basketball fan, as a Laker fan, ultimately it disappoints a little, but just from a general basketball fan, it did not disappoint. Kobe and Shaq, right as tip-off's about to happen, they acknowledge each other, and Shaq just like kind of looks over him and doesn't really say anything to him, so you could already tell things are icy. The very first time like Kobe gets the ball, he goes right at Shaq and just like runs into a brick wall and gets blocked. And like Shaq, he has his moments, he gets some dunks, and then Kobe just starts going off. He just like from 3-point range, it's just bam. Those kind of shots that only Kobe takes, where it's like dudes in his face and he's like, I don't care. And it's just like pulls up from 3 and swishes it. He was so hot in the beginning of the game. So that tension was there and everything. And it was close down the stretch. Great plays from both guys. And comes down to the final shot. Miami's up by 2 points. Give the ball to Kobe. As the buzzer's going off, shoots the 3, just misses it to the left.
Yeah.
And that's how the game ended. And it was like the whole thing was just icy, but Kobe had a great game. Dropped like, I think 42 points and such. And it probably looks better if you consider it with the true shooting percentage, because Kobe was kind of hot from 3-point range. Yeah. And that was kind of like the last point where Shaq still kind of looked like his dominant self, because like he started deteriorating pretty quickly afterwards. Even though they won the championships in 2006, that was more Wade than Shaq. Shaq was definitely the Robin in that situation. But they both looked awesome in this game, and it just like I can't remember like a regular season game with that kind of tension. Like honestly, I don't know if I've ever felt that since.
Was this the game where Shaq's doing the interviews where he's like, I don't know that man?
When was the last time you talked to Kobe?
I don't know. I don't care. I don't know.
Kobe Bryant called you on your cell phone right now, what would you say to him?
I don't have a cell phone because people that I'm connected with them. All you gotta do is think, and I'll call you. I don't have a cell phone. And that's a problem with the diesel. I'm technologically more advanced than you are. My thought process begins where the regular human apex is at.
Yeah. He was saying that he wouldn't even say Kobe's name. Yeah. And they say that like towards the beginning of the game. They're like, they're not even addressing him by name, which is just so funny because, since then Shaq was like, oh, there was never a beef. There was never a shut up, Shaq. Good. Like, shut up. It is obvious. Like, does the media obviously fluff things up for their own interests? Of course. They've always done that. They always will do that. But don't for 1 second act like there wasn't disgust between you two. Like, you guys couldn't stand each other at this point, Yeah,
he always says, he always goes, it was my fault that the beef happened because I wanted to keep our beef going. Because I like being in the headlines and whatever. Which I do. There's got to be some truth to that, though. There has to be.
Yeah, sure, but like you could tell there was bitterness, like a lot of bitterness between each other. And if you watch highlights of this game, it's funny because like Kobe is trying so hard, almost to the point of it being silly, to block Shaq's shot. Yeah. Like he's doing that thing where he tries to come up from behind as a help defender and like swipe at it. And Kobe swipes so hard and gets nothing but air like a couple times. Like, damn, Kobe, like don't throw your shoulder out. Like I know you want to block Shaq, but like chill out. Like you could just see in so many ways, like it was different for these two.
Classic Kobe Bryant.
And being a Laker fan, it's like, I wish Kobe would have made that shot. Yeah. But from just being a basketball fan, what did you hope for in this game that you didn't get? It was perfect. It was so good. It was amazing. Yeah.
This is Wade's rookie year or is the second year, sophomore year?
Rookie year.
He came into the class with LeBron, so this is the year after.
Yeah, this is right.
Oh, no. 03, 04? No, this is his rookie year.
No, this is 04, 05.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting my years mixed up. This is his second year. This is his second year. Yeah.
I mess up my years constantly. You're fine.
Which kind of sucks because there was like
because of the Christmas time that throws it off. Because you think
I know.
It's 04, So.
Well, because 02, 03 was Jordan's last year with the Wizards, which is unfortunate because right after that, LeBron and Wade came into the league, and so it's like if it just overlapped a little bit more, we could have got those guys against MJ in his twilight year.
Yeah. Even got a good performance from Wade though, 29 and 10, a steal and a block.
Yeah,
or 2 steals and a block. Excuse me. So
see how Kobe was locking up though, 38%.
That was one thing though. Like for me, I remember this was the first game where, like, from an eye perspective, like just as a NBA fan, where I noticed, oh wow, this Wade guy is going to be like his Shaq 2.0. I mean, it's going to be Shaq and Kobe 2.0,
or his Penny 3.0, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, that's a good point. But you could just see that he was just a problem. Like he was going to be a problem for the league. He's so good, and that was the first spot where I really noticed it as a Laker fan who wasn't watching every Heat game.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, Lindsay, you're up.
Okay, so I had the 2016 Cavs Warriors game.
That was a great game.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great game, but I'm going to sell you on it a little bit more. So you had, the parallels from the finals in this. So everybody's all excited because the Warriors. Well, some people were excited. Very few people were excited about Kevin Durant on the Warriors. And so the Warriors were up by like 14, and then the shit happens that happened in the finals, and the Cavs come back, and they beat the Warriors on a Kyrie buzzer beater, and it was just, mwah, beautiful, perfect, lovely Christmas present.
And then Draymond Green cried and called Kevin Durant, and now this is happening.
No,
in the finals,
No, but I'm saying that's what happened in the game. They lost the lead. And Kyrie Irving won on a buzzer beater, like in the finals. Okay, there we go, Russell.
That's what happened in the finals. Fuck off.
Well, it was nice. It was nice for me because, like, I feel like I kind of sum up a lot of Kobe fans, where it was like a lot of Kobe fans felt the way I did. Where back in the day, I didn't want LeBron to win championships. I was rooting against LeBron because the argument was LeBron or Kobe. So anytime. Like, I was rooting for the Spurs when they were fighting against the Miami Heat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
It's a fact.
Spurs. because I didn't want LeBron to match Kobe's ring count. And I'm still conflicted a little bit because I want my Lakers to win, but I'm like, he's going to equal Kobe. So I wasn't rooting for LeBron for the longest time, but Kevin Durant changed that. Once Kevin Durant went to Warriors, I was like, freaking screw the Warriors. Go Cavs. And this game was a great game and almost, kind of made me feel like maybe they can beat this Cavs team, There's the tiniest glimmer of hope, Of course, we got a reality check in the finals, but this was also like a cathartic game from that standpoint too, like this one.
See, I just hate, like, we have such linear paths and then suddenly you just rear off to the... I was rooting for the Warriors so hard throughout the process. I was like, screw LeBron. You keep losing in the finals. It's great that you get in there, but you're just losing, you little prick. And I was happy as hell. So,
well, because there's two parts of me. Like, seriously, like when it comes to my basketball standpoint, I have like, as a fan, I have like two personalities. So it's like, if the Lakers built the greatest super team ever and we're just broken and we're winning championships, there's a part of me that, of course, is going to love that. But there's another part of me that's just such a big basketball fan and basketball purist in general that I'm going to be like, this is just the wrong way. Like, this is not how you do it, and I kind of hate him for it a little bit. And what Kevin Durant did was just so disgusting to me that it was like, no amount of wanting to see Kobe over LeBron is going to make this okay from what Kevin Durant did. He must lose. I wanted them to lose so bad because I thought it was so wrong.
Do you think the last thing, and then we'll move on, or we'll pick a winner. But do you think the series between OKC and the Warriors from the year before in the conference finals, do you think that made the Durant thing just that? Do you think that took it over the top, or do you think either way you would have felt this is just sacrilege? Because I think the fact that he lost to them in the conference final and then joined them made it that much worse.
It made it worse, but it was also 73-9. To me, the 73-9 is even bigger than losing. I'm like, dude, people were talking about, is this team better than the 95-96 Bulls? And you just join them.
Yeah.
Like, talk about taking life on easy mode. Like, do you have any competitive bone in your body? It was a combination of everything. And it's just, and I don't even think, I think he had his mind made up on that, like, way in advance. I don't think them losing or anything played a huge part to it. I think he knew, like, he's kind of over Westbrook and they're having so much fun. I'd love to be a part of that atmosphere. I think he knew way in advance.
Jerry West was on the phone with him all the time. But even
Jerry West, I don't even know how much that swayed him. I think Kevin Durant just saw that and he goes, I want that. I'm tired of playing with Westbrook. I just think he knew what he wanted.
That is absolutely what he said, for sure. That's mad funny. All right, we got to pick a winner. Lindsay, go first. All right, Darius going first? All right, go. No, go.
I'll go first. I don't care.
Yeah,
I got it this time.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to go with the 86 Knicks Bulls.
All right.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with what was originally my first pick anyway. 2004 Lakers versus Heat.
Yeah.
And strictly Kobe bias.
But even then, we lost. I mean, it was kind of bitter because he missed that game winner.
Nice little war. Like, going into that, I'm sure there was just, like, the amount of media hype on it, like, definitely. And then it lived up to the hype, too, like, in terms of a thrilling game. So
Yeah, it was like a season finale, and, like, you're just looking forward to it, anticipating it, and then it, like, delivers. It was like, that game was, like, the final episode of Breaking Bad, where you're just like, that was perfect. It was awesome. I'm gonna go with the Cavs and Warriors. Yeah. I like that.
I was stuck between those two.
Maybe you guys will get mad at me, and that doesn't shock me. It wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. But I thought the Lakers Heat game in 06 was better for me to watch. Like, I love the moment when Shaq and fucking Bynum go
that was so good.
That was so crazy. That's why I'll never forget that moment when Dario was talking to me about Lakers Heat 2004 originally. I thought he was talking about that game, and I would have picked it because I love that game. I rewatched that game every year at some point, I'll watch that game. It's so fun. Shaq gets so in his feelings about the new hotness, giving him a little dunk on or whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So great. I love that game. So for that reason, I'm taking Cavs Warriors. And that is the W for the greatest Xmas, or the best Xmas present of a Christmas screen.
And
Christmas screen. I'm just tongue twisting everything.
I won 3 categories, bitches.
Again.
Well, that's only because these dorks are picking stuff other than mine. Because I'm picking mine, and I know it's the right answer, but I can't pick the right answer. So, because you're not picking mine, all right? That's no contest. It's Lakers Heat. It's obvious.
Close.
But because I have to vote for something other than mine, Lindsay's going, I want it all. And it should have been mine.
I did win it all, and that's all that matters.
Now let's get into the nitty gritty.
So this is the part I was looking the most forward to on the program.
Which we have like 10 or 15 minutes for.
What I'm here for. Hey, I can't control the Duncan Olajuwon talk, all right? I can't control it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're looking at our all NBA Christmas teams, right? This is, as we've done through this whole podcast, this is strictly based on these players' performance on Christmas Day. I think that's extremely important to note. I'll have all the teams listed one by one on your screen. That'll be available as we kind of go through it here. But who wants to start talking about their team? Just giving an overview.
I'll start.
All right.
So my first team is Oscar, Jerry West, Scottie Pippen, LeBron James, and Wilt Chamberlain. All right, but I really want to go into Oscar Robertson in general because to me, he's the greatest Christmas performer of all time, and I don't think it's that close. So he's averaging 31 and a half points, 12 assists, 8.6 rebounds per game.
Yeah.
This was during 11 games because one of the games they didn't calculate it or whatever. So I like literally went back and did all the math.
Yeah.
For the first 7 years, he averaged 30 plus points on Christmas. So he, like, when it was Christmas time, he was ready to start whooping ass.
Yeah, he played 12 years on Christmas Day, which is a lot.
Yeah, that was like top 5
stuff.
all time.
Yeah.
Like in terms of amount of players with amount of Christmas games.
Yeah.
And 6 of those first years, he had 13 plus assists.
Wow.
Everything. So he literally was just dominating on Christmas. So to me, it's not even close. Oscar Robertson, greatest Christmas performer of all time. All right. Jerry West, he averaged 32 points a game, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. I recalculated and went back. Some of them is just like 4 games. And oh, my bad, I forgot to mention, Oscar was 8-4 on Christmas. He played 12 games. He won 8. Jerry West 5-1. Scottie Pippen, the only player on my list, and I think on anybody's list, that's 7-0 on Christmas. Averaged 23 points a game, 9 rebounds. I'm just rounding. 6 assists, 3 steals, and almost 2 blocks a game.
Yeah,
7-0. That he's arguably up there. I just think the Oscar thing is crazy.
That's who I have. That's who I have over Oscar personally. I would have Oscar on that list in some, but definitely no lower.
Oscar almost played double his games though. That's the only thing is like he almost played double his games and he's almost averaging the triple double on Christmas.
Yeah,
like
this is what I think is so fascinating about it though. Is like if we went into this and you didn't have a sense of this ahead of time, you would think like, okay, greatest Christmas Day performers. You would think Magic, you would think Steph, like those would be the point guards you think. You'd be like, no, Oscar, like not Bird, not some of these other small forwards. Pippen, like Pippen was nuts.
It's crazy, yeah. And Will obviously with his ridiculous 32 and 25, 5-1 on Christmas. LeBron James is to me like I was stuck between LeBron and my other guys, but I just went LeBron because of the longevity and everything. Pretty much 26 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 10 and 5 on Christmas. MJ, Wade, Kevin Durant, T-Mac, and Bill Russell. I just want to say one thing about T-Mac because it's just amazing. T-Mac is the only guy with 3 games played, but he just completely dominated on Christmas with his 3. 2-1, but he just straight up dropped buckets for everybody. That's like what you want to see on Christmas. So
that's that. Of those 3 games, last thing on T-Mac, of those things, of those 3 games, 2 of them here are in the top 10 for greatest game score in the history of a Christmas Day game. Like, filling the stat sheet, absolutely filling it up. One of these is a shootout against LeBron James during LeBron's rookie year,
which I considered for the best Christmas Day game
for
ever.
Sure.
That T-Mac game was right up there because he almost had like a 40+ point triple double.
Yeah, 41, 8, and 11 with 3 steals and a block. Savage.
Yep,
and 5 threes.
Freaking monster.
Yeah, I really wanted to put him on my first team. I'll go next. I really wanted to put him on my first team, but the amount of games played definitely factored into my decision for sure.
Same.
Like, so I have. First of all, we gotta have a conversation really quick. We gotta have a talk because I'm looking at 2 people who are confessed Kobe super fans, and he's played more games on Christmas than any player ever. And he's your favorite.
He's the all-time leading Christmas scorer.
And neither of you fucking have him on your first team. I thought this would be the one unanimous guy for sure. It would be Kobe. I thought it definitely would be Kobe. His record's not great, admittedly. Yeah. But he does, to your point, he's at the top of these all-time Christmas lists. And he is, during my era, like my childhood of watching basketball, he was synonymous with a Christmas Day game. Like, knew I was going to see Kobe every year. Like,
wait, to be fair, just to argue, because Johnny has nothing to say because he's just a traitor. But me, I at least, bam! Ooh, guys, ooh, bam! You see my jersey?
So now you've become the invisible boy.
You see that?
Hold this black
bam!
It won't fucking
gave you that Lower Marion. I was at least showing Kobe love throughout this whole pod. So, Johnny's a traitor. I was there with you at heart, Kobe.
Listen. I love Kobe, but I'm also loyal to facts. Okay, and Oscar Robertson, Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Jerry West. You tell me those Christmas performers. Dwayne Wade was 10-3 and put up monstrous.
Yeah, I have Wade also.
Jerry West was averaging 32.2, and Jerry West was an underrated defender. I'm sure he was great on those Christmas games as well.
Yeah.
Second highest points per game average in Christmas Day history was Jerry West, 5-1 record. Jordan was 5-1. His stats, Jordan's stats are kind of subpar compared to what he normally does, but they're still better than Kobe's. Kobe's was 6-10. Like, dude, I can comfortably say, as a Laker fan, as a Kobe fan, we suck on Christmas. We absolutely suck on Christmas, and Kobe's a part of that, dude. There was we just didn't show up some days. I freaking remember Miami blowing us the frick out and us freaking throwing our foam fingers onto the court. And honestly, I might have too. I'm going to be like, have my foam fingers. I'm freaking done with seeing us suck on Christmas. These are not the gifts I want. So, yeah. So, anyway, you get a little rage out of me because it's like, yeah, we suck on Christmas, and Kobe was a part of it. I don't get it. Maybe it's because we're playing 7:30 p.m. games in L.A., and now they're making us play at frickin' noon on Christmas Day, and we're just not adjusted to that. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
3 of those games were against the Heat when the Lakers were straight up trash, though. So that's not like 3 of in those reality. Games, I would give Kobe more of a 6 and 7 record.
You take those 3 games away, he still has a losing record. He's 6-7. Like,
yeah, I know.
What the heck, Kobe? He doesn't like Christmas. Okay,
he has one bullshit loss on freaking Derrick Rose with that stupid ass teardrop. I wanted to freaking murder Derrick. I was so happy.
Yeah, when Kobe's freaking raging and wants to murder a ref when he just got straight up blocked cleanly. I remember that. Kobe's apparently not even smart on Christmas either, because I remember that he looks at a ref. He's like, "What the heck? You should have called that clean block a foul." It was like, no, Kobe, you got stuff because everybody knew it was going to you and you suck on Christmas. So,
time out. Let's continue on because I'm going to argue right now and I don't want to.
Listen.
To control myself.
We're more on the same page than you realize. Your love for Kobe is kind of clouding your vision. My love for Kobe is just making me mad because I'm like, why did you let me down every Christmas? I was expecting more. Like, what the heck?
That is amazing.
Like we just talked about, one of our favorite, like, greatest games ever was Kobe missing a game winner. Like, you know, just doesn't work out for Kobe on Christmas.
But it was not fair.
This is something I had to look up really quick. It's been a theme on our show, and I just speak people sucking on Christmas. I had to look it up. 13 points per game for Curry, a 2-time MVP, shooting 30% from the field and 20% from three. What an embarrassment.
Okay, we'd agree on this. Kobe would dominate Curry on Christmas, just absolutely destroy him.
I just wanted to say Kobe was straight up ass cheeks on Christmas, but I digress. Let's keep on.
Do you think? Let's do this. Let's do this quick. We'll wrap the show with this. Do you think we can come up with a definitive for all of us, all NBA Christmas first team? Because I think we can. I think we all like Dwayne Wade for the guard spot. I think most of us are good on that. You would take both the old guys over. I can't agree with that. I would have to put Dwayne Wade in there. 10 and 3
I could see, because I have Wade on my second team and Jordan on my first team.
Yeah,
I could bump up Wade to first. I'd be okay with that ahead of MJ.
Yeah. I have Jordan on my. I have that exact situation. Jordan on my second and Wade on my first. Just because we were talking about record. We're talking.
We keep it Oscar because Oscar is one that I'm not.
Oscar's staying. Yeah. So
all right.
Oscar.
I'm cool with Wade. I'm cool with Wade over Jay West. I don't really like him anyway.
Okay. Well, here's the hard part. What are the forwards? First team forwards.
Scottie's 100%.
LeBron, Scottie, Pippen, and LeBron for me. For sure.
T-Mac's got to be in there.
Can't be.
He just played 3 games, though. That's the only thing. LeBron
but he's freaking Brian Scalabrine on steroids when he is in there. I mean, I understand, he's only, got 3 games under his belt, but that's not his fault. Schedule T-Mac some more. He's box office on Christmas. You did everything he could. He looks like the greatest ever if all you could see is him on Christmas, you know?
I thought about having him on my first team, but because all these guys played so many more games than he did, it makes a difference. We're talking about record. You're talking about Kobe not making it. It's because of the games and the record.
I get what you're saying to a certain extent, but that's not at all related to T-Mac's performance in and of itself.
Right.
His performance was the best. It's just the most sample size. You know?
I mean, if we're being honest, maybe if his teams were better, he would have played on Christmas more. That's a fact. All the best teams play on Christmas.
Yeah.
And he had 3 in Orlando, and I love T-Mac though. 43 points a game is savage.
The highest scoring average in Christmas Day history, ahead of Wilt. How often can you say that? T-Mac averaged more on Christmas than Wilt.
But if we're doing the first 3 games of Wilt's Christmas, I bet his average is higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 50. Yeah, it's probably 50 and a half.
That's what I'm saying. He's been definitely high 40s for sure.
Yeah, I want to check.
I could get that for you.
He's I don't want to know now. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, now you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we're not going to consider the whole 60s small white guys narrative anymore. It's T-Mac's going against LeBron James. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's why I couldn't have both guards be old guys. That's why I couldn't do it. I was talking about one.
Another case, though, is, like you said, Russell, T-Mac has 2 of the greatest I know game scoring. So that's a large sample size because we're going all time, and he's 2.
Yeah, he's the only player on my list that played less than 6 games. 6 was my minimum because with 6 you got a nice sample size. You played enough on Christmas. That's 6 seasons you played on Christmas.
If you take Michael freaking Jeffrey Jordan's first 3 games on Christmas and compare it to the 3 games of Tracy McGrady, you would say Tracy McGrady's way better than Michael Jordan, way better than the GOAT. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel like you guys are appreciating these 3 games.
He was my first pick for my second team, and it was a very tough choice.
I originally had him in my first until I realized, damn, he only played 3 out of the. And I couldn't do that.
You have to reward that stuff. That stuff has to matter.
Yeah, because he's definitely like the best in the second team for sure. He's like, he's the 6th man for sure.
If you don't want to have LeBron, I'm okay with that. But we're same thing with Dario said with Oscar Robertson. I'm not taking Scottie out of the team. It can't happen.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Undefeated. Yeah,
like,
keep undefeated.
He's absolutely ridiculous, and he's got stats better than Jordan, which is hilarious and impressive.
So before forward seems to be contentious. Center, who are we going? Are we going Wilt or because I know some of us had Bill Russell.
Yeah.
An honorable mention for me was Walt Bellamy. He played. Okay. He played
this guy games. Today. Holy shit!
That was who I was. That was one of the dudes I was educating you on last podcast.
Glad you listened, you fuck.
Yeah. Next, you're gonna start telling me how great Nate Thurman was.
Yeah, that ass.
Well, I'm just saying. For centers, I feel like it's less of an argument. Are we keeping Wilt or?
I thought everybody had Wilt as their first team center already.
Oh, perfect. All right, so we're just arguing about the forward.
Yeah. It was between Wilt or Shaq.
All right, fine.
So we're gonna
Majority wins. We'll knock down T-Mac's Christmas perfection to 17.
Scottie Pippen is Christmas perfection. All right, that dude is perfect. He's got stats everywhere.
Okay, I get it. He was 7-0. 6 of those games, he had this nice little role player helping him out named Michael Jordan.
It was a role player on Christmas. It was a fucking role player.
A pretty good role player. Surely. You don't think T-Mac's 3-0 if he's got Michael Jordan role player?
Hey, Wade needed LeBron. You know what I'm saying? It happens throughout the year.
Yo, all I'm saying is Oscar Robertson ain't have no guy averaging 28, 7 and whatever. So Oscar Robinson's the greatest.
We already kept him. We're on phone.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Who are you arguing against, Dario?
I just need this. I'm just arguing for my mans, man.
All right. So our team is Oscar Robertson, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Pippen, Wilt, 6-man T-Man. If that existed. But he would be the all 6-man for sure.
Yeah, if LeBron's quad just like blew out again.
Yeah, we're putting T-Mac in immediately. Yeah. Immediately to play forward. Yeah. Fucking A. All right.
Or groin, sorry. Yep.
This was a lot of fun.
Cramps. If he starts cramping, we'll put T-Mac in.
And we know he does. Heat it up a little bit in the prison. He just started
heat it up a little bit in the building. Turn off all the AC.
I still got all that 2014 hate in me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I see this younger Kobe fanboy coming out.
Yeah. I feel like that's the one thing that this whole podcast has done for Dario. It's just like reignited the Kobe flame within him to talk.
Oh man,
it's beautiful.
I feel bad.
Every episode to Kobe.
I feel bad for just torching Christmas Kobe. I love you, Kobe. Yeah,
not as bad as what you think of Curry.
He's a hater. Like
Curry. At least there's some gray area with Kobe. What kind of morons putting Curry in the first or second team on Christmas? Like, no one.
Little kid,
Aisha, maybe. Aisha would.
Aisha for sure, 100%.
Different reason.
I have Dell in there too, 100%. But, for Apex Greatness, I'm Russell Broderick. That's Dario Albuquerque. Thank you very much, Johnny Arnett, as always, for being here. I can now fucking take all this shit off.
What you doing?
I made it.
No, you're not Santa.
I made it. My ears hurt. I fucking made it. And we are saying deuces. Peace, guys.